Hi there, this is a new project for me. It's been a while since I made a project. And this is a tube-based AM transmitter which has some transmission power. I guess we are in a range of 15 or 20 milliwatts. I haven't measured it, but it makes a very strong signal all over my room with an antenna connected. And yeah, here it is. I'm using two battery tubes, these 1SH24B, that you may eventually know. They're a little bit boring, because unlike on a normal tube, you can't see the filament glowing on these tubes, but I choose them because they are very well available. What is not on the circuit, I mean on the diagram, are two things. First, I'm using a modulation transformer. Second, the 1.2 volts heater, or filament voltage, is not drawn into the circuit because I was in a hurry when I was making this. Okay, how does it work? The first tube is an oscillator, a Pierce oscillator. As you can see, one grid is connected to ground and the anode is connected to ground. And the coil is between anode and grid 1. And it just generates the carrier frequency, which then gets fed to gate 1 from the second tube via a coupling capacitor of 100 picofarads. And the second tube just acts as an amplifier and is modulated on grid 2. Here is the bias from grid 2. And here is the audio input with 220 nanofarads. For the audio input, I'm using a 12 volts to 230 volts 1 watt transformer. The 220 volt side is connected to the input from the grid, and the other side is connected to a headphone jack. An amplifier from a radio that runs with two batteries will probably work. I'm not guaranteeing that, but in my case it works quite well. The cool thing about tubes is that you can connect an oscillator directly to the amplifier and you won't really have much frequency modulation, because unlike on a transistor, there's not much capacitance that is like a variable capacitor diode, and then it affects the oscillator frequency when the second stage is modulated. Okay, so not much about this transmitter, not much else to say. I think you can see the schematic. You can buy the tubes. I choose them because they're good available. And then you can rebuild it, but if you rebuild it, pay attention that this coil is far away from this coil. Because when you get this one tuned in resonance, it will make a strong RF or magnetic field. And if this coil is too close to this coil, you will actually get frequency modulation. As you can see, this is not the way you build an RF circuit. Lots of space, lots of long wires. But tubes are very forgiving in this case, and you can really build it with long wires. Well, not too long wires, but you can see that it's not too critical to build it. Okay, so far about the circuit, not much else to explain. I know this isn't the best drawing, but once again I was in a hurry when I was making this. And yeah, it's working. So 36 volts, you can get them from 4 9-volt batteries, and I tried it. If the voltage drops, it still works, so if the batteries go empty, but this is pulling so less current, so it will really go for hours with batteries. Also the rechargeable battery will last very long from the filament voltage. And yeah, that's pretty much about the circuit. I'll turn up the volume now and you will hear some voice.
Briefroman von Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, Pamela oder die belohnte Tugend, Briefroman von...
As you could hear, I'm just rebroadcasting a local radio station because I was not having time for setting up no copyright sound music, but I guess showing such a short amount of this stuff is okay. So once again, this is my tube-based transmitter. It has much more power than the other transmitters that I made. Once again, I tested it with the radio, and everywhere in my room I have a really strong signal. Next thing I want to mention before I go to German part is this circuit here is the antenna circuit, and you want to tune it because then it will act as a harmonic filter and it will really increase the output power. Okay, that's my tube-based circuit.